When you stand like 2 inches away from a really complex mosaic, it doesn't look like art. It just looks like, well, a chaotic mess of broken glass.
Yeah, just total chaos.
Right. And honestly, that is exactly what modern life and, modern knowledge feels like right now. We have this endless access to information, but we are just standing way too close.
Oh, absolutely. We're completely overloaded.
We are. So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are taking a massive step back today to explore a fascinating book. It's called The Pramod Effect, The Global Mandate for Oneness by Dr. Pramod Ambadasrao Pawar.
It is quite the read.
It really is. And for you, the lifelong learner navigating this constant information overload, our mission today is to distill this really dense philosophical framework into a clear, actionable cure for all that fragmentation.
And, I mean, to cure that fragmentation,
Yeah.
we really have to look at how we got here in the first place.
Right, the root cause.
Exactly. So a lot of 20th century academia was driven by post-structuralism, which is basically a fancy way of saying scholars became completely obsessed with tearing things apart.
Yeah, they would just deconstruct literature and philosophy to expose flaws.
Right. But if you only ever take things apart and you never put them back together, you end up with, well, pure relativism.
Where nothing really means anything anymore.
Exactly. It creates this hollow core.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Traditional deconstruction is like endlessly shattering a mirror just to see how the glass breaks. But Pawar counters this with what he calls trans-deconstruction.
Yes, trans-deconstruction.
Instead of just leaving the pieces on the floor, it's like this gravitational pull, bringing those shards back together into a coherent picture.
That's a great way to put it. It moves us past the isolated fragment to find an undeniable objective truth hidden beneath.
Yeah.
Pawar terms this the Unified Monistic Centre.
The Unified Monistic Centre. Okay.
Yeah. And unlike modern literary theories that famously declared, the death of the author to argue a text means whatever you want it to mean.
Right, sure.
This framework insists the author is still alive.
Right.
The original intent acts as a permanent soul for the text, which gives us a stable anchor.
Having a philosophical anchor is great, but Pawar pushes this into some, really wild territory by applying conceptual math.
He really does.
He introduces the algorithm of unity, which is 1 minus 1 equals 0, which ultimately equals 1. And here's where I get stuck because, my middle school math teacher would definitely fail me for saying 0 equals 1. Wait, how does that actually work?
I know, it sounds crazy, but think of it less like arithmetic and more like noise-canceling headphones.
Oh, okay, I like that.
Right, so the 1 minus 1 is about subtracting artificial binaries, things like self versus other or man versus nature. In noise-canceling tech, you play an inverted sound wave to subtract the noise, right?
And then you reach perfect silence.
Exactly, or what Pawar calls zero-ness, the Shunya state of pure potential. And within that perfect equilibrium, that zero state is actually the absolute one, the whole.
Oh, wow. Subtracting the division creates the whole. That makes so much sense. And he mirrors this scientifically with monocontiurgy, right? Using the formula mt squared equals 0, which sounds incredibly intimidating, but it's really just about neutralizing mass and time.
Yeah, it acts as a philosophical bridge. Stepping outside of physical constraints means that how heavy something is or how long it takes, it just no longer matters. At the foundational level, limits just dissolve into raw, unified energy.
But it's fun to philosophize about unified energy, but it's completely useless if we can't apply it to the real world, like our schools or workplaces.
Oh, but he does. Pawar actually translates this metaphysical math into institutional reform.
Right, using the GASR frameworks.
Exactly. GASR functions as a global assessment system for rating institutions. And GASR 2.0 completely throws out rigid competitive metrics.
Thank goodness.
I know. It replaces them with a 100-star value-based system. So instead of grading raw output, it evaluates institutions on character, ethics, and societal contribution. And crucially, it mandates a strict 90-10 human-to-AI split.
Wait, meaning 90% human-centric judgment and only 10% AI-assisted support?
That's it, yeah. It's a direct safeguard so AI doesn't homogenize human thought. Ensuring technology serves wisdom rather than replacing it.
That is so important right now. And GASR 4.0 takes this to the individual level, doesn't it?
It does. It abandons standardized grading entirely in favor of lifelong human value discovery. Because human potential isn't just, a snapshot taken during a final exam.
Right. It's about tracking and nurturing latent talents over a person's entire lifetime, which completely shifts our societal goal from producing competitors to cultivating contributors.
Exactly. It's all building toward Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the ancient concept of the world as one family.
Defined by a shared origin, not boundaries.
Yes. But, and this is the catch, this entire framework hinges on ego neutralization. To achieve global harmony, you have to let go of the individual self that separates you from everyone else.
So here is a final thought for you to explore on your own today. If reaching the absolute one requires the subtraction of the one representing your individual ego.
The hardest subtraction of all.
Really, though, how much of your own personal identity are you willing to dissolve to achieve total unity? Like, are you ready to just be a piece of glass, or do you still need to be the whole mirror?